Hi everyone, I'm going to be answering questions about, I have some questions that are already, people have been asking me in my DMs and comments in some of my content, and then I'll answer any questions specifically about how to deactivate or deal with a narcissist or toxic person. So kind of probably jump right into it because there's a lot that came up, but some of them were like very similar, which was interesting. So again, I am answering your questions about how to deactivate or deal with a toxic person or narcissist. And especially now, I really want you guys to take care of yourself during the holidays, because the holidays are when toxic people and narcissists love to act up. They love, one, because it's a time of year where people want to have a good time and they like to ruin that. They have an audience and then they like to ruin that because it's kind of like, and then there's all these expectations and which can create chaos, and narcissists and toxic people love chaos. So I want to help you deal with that. And sometimes, what I always say, at the end of the day, I recommend doing the healing, doing the inner work so you stop attracting that. Yes, you can break up with that person or go non-contact with that person, but we also want to do that inner work to rewire your nervous system. And all my stuff is psychology and neuroscience based and some quantum physics, but it's mostly psychology and neuroscience based. So you stop attracting those people and have freedom. So that's my ultimate thing, but sometimes we still have to interact with these people at work, in our family. And so I just want it to be less stressful for you guys this holiday season. One of the first questions I got was one of the defense mechanisms that narcissists and toxic people, but this is a huge one that narcissists use, is that's just who I am. When they get caught doing something, or when you call them out for doing something and they really don't have any defense, they'll just say, well, that's just who I am. And it's a way to gaslight, as if it's like as if you are assassinating their character, that you are doing something wrong. Like, how dare you? That's just how I am. And that is not an excuse. It's a way to gaslight you and deflect responsibility. And you get to calmly just say, okay, well, if that's how you are, I just don't tolerate that. That's beneath my standards. And so I'll give you an example. So when I was still removing the toxic people out of my life, and I had done a lot of work, but I still had a few friends that were narcissists and kind of trying to come in and out of my life. And one of them, let's call her Anna, she was just narcissist, just so freaking rude all the time. And like a lot of narcissists, she was very like image and status oriented and was always talking about how much her clothes cost. It was very tacky and very cringe. And she was talking about someone and then said, oh yeah, they have this cheap little whatever. And then even commented on something like, your cheapy little like bracelet or whatever. And I'm like, Anna, you cannot you cannot say those things to people. Like, it's rude, and no one calls you out on it. Everyone just kind of rolls their eyes, but it is rude and it's so cringe and it's not polite. And then she said, oh, that's just how I am. And I'm like, well, you're fucking rude and disrespectful, and I don't want to be friends with you if you're that way. And so when you frame it from a perspective of, I'm not, because they're trying to make it about a character assassination, when you frame it from the perspective of that type of behavior, I just don't tolerate. I'm not trying to call you names, like, because they're going to try to divert you into this thing of like, you're a bad person, you're calling me names, you're being mean. No, I am asking you to not treat me this way. It's not about that's just who I am, so leave me alone. No, you get to take responsibility for your behavior, which is something narcissists and toxic people try to evade in every way possible, because taking responsibility for their toxic behavior that's very repulsive to other people induces a feeling of shame and guilt. And narcissists and toxic people will do anything that they can to avoid shame and guilt. So just keep that in mind. But if you stand, and then also don't get triggered or activated anytime you're dealing with them, because that's what they want. They love triggering and activating you. So if you could just stay calm and politely state your boundaries. I don't like putting up with that. I don't tolerate that. That's not okay for me. So that's it. Just really calm. It completely shuts it down. And it's not like you don't start arguing with them, or what I call Jade. Justify, argue, defend, explain. You don't do any of those things. You're barely engaging, which is the other E. And another thing is, oh, you're just being too sensitive. Really? Okay, so A lot of times toxic people are the most sensitive people, especially, again, when it involves taking accountability for their behavior. So, but they'll accuse you of being too sensitive anytime. Again, there's a lot of double standards, as we know. So you can calmly say, no, I'm not being too sensitive. This is how I feel. And another good rejoinder or comeback is to just, or response, it's not really like a comeback. We're not trying to fight with them. We're not being on that level of like getting triggered, which they like. But another good response is just to be like, you know what? Yeah, sorry. We can talk about what you think about my reaction or whatever, but right now I'm telling you that I don't tolerate that type of behavior. Or just even better than saying like, I don't tolerate that, or please don't say that to me, just a request like that, is just to look at them just like this and then look away. I don't know why, but I do know why, because it triggers their shame and guilt response. So instead of you getting all activated when you don't do that, which pleases them, these people are so deeply insecure and have so much shame and guilt, they want to offload it on you. So when you don't do that, they get really agitated and they shut down, and then they might even say they're sorry. It's really interesting. So just say, no, I'm just someone that doesn't tolerate that type of behavior. This isn't really about me being sensitive. If you want to have a conversation about me being sensitive, we can. But right now, I'm addressing this. Thank you. That's it. And then the next one is, oh, it's just a joke. I've done different content about this, different TikToks and Reels and everything. And so when they do something that's offensive, instead of saying I'm sorry again, it's just a joke. It's just a joke. And then, with the holidays coming up, if there's some type of gathering, or if they have people that are like they're flying monkeys, they'll be like, so-and-so can't even take a joke. So in order to kind of circumvent you telling other people like, oh my God, this person did something to really offend me, they're like, oh my God, that person can't even take a joke. And it's not about that. Cortisol levels and nervous system, let's do everything we can to not get triggered. But then the other thing is to just, again, you could just look at them kind of deadpan and be like, okay, that wasn't funny. And then they're going to accuse you of not having a sense of humor. But it's like, I'm not even debating whether it was a joke or not. Like, if you think it's a joke, cool. But again, I don't want to hear about that. Just say that. Like, again, you're just stating your standards, like you're saying pass the salt. Really, like the most neutral, bland way that you could possibly say it is a good way. Let me see the next question. And another one is, and this is just a form of gaslighting, deflecting, is when they try to rewrite history, or literally completely just say that your experience and what you're thinking and how you remember things didn't happen or doesn't count. So you're remembering it wrong. That didn't happen. And it could literally be something that happened 2 minutes ago or a day ago or a month ago, and they will accuse you of this. And so you can just say, yeah, actually my memory is pretty clear. And again, not like, oh my God, how are you? Because they want you to get triggered like that. So just calmly say, yeah, my memory is pretty clear. You could lean back a little bit because people really read into body language. So either have your shoulders over your hips, because that's neutral, or lean back and say, no, my memory is pretty clear and that's how I remember it, and I'm not tolerating that, period. Again, you don't go into justifying, arguing, defending, explaining. The acronym for that is JADE. None of that. You'll see a pattern here as I'm answering your questions, is that we stay really neutral and the engagement is very short. The last thing you want to do is let them know that you're triggered. Even if you get triggered and they act like they're offended and everything, these are people that literally have a drama addiction. They're thriving off of the drama. And you have to think of narcissists, borderlines, toxic people, sociopaths. All those people are literally getting life off of causing you pain. And so if you think about it like that, it's kind of like giving an alcoholic alcohol, right? It's not good for anyone really, but they're going to keep doing it and they're going to get high off of it. So your job is to disengage and not do that. Feel free to ask any questions. Anyone with personality disorder type of thing, is any toxic people, narcissists, borderline, sociopaths. I'm your girl. I'm here to answer those questions. And another way to completely devalue you and deny your experience is you're overreacting. And this goes over you're too sensitive type of thing, same type of thing. So not only are they completely devaluing and not even recognizing your experience and what you felt at all, they're saying that you were overacting, like you don't even know what you're talking, and like as if you embarrass them. Like a lot of my clients will tell me that the narcissist kind of morphed something into like, oh, you've embarrassed me. And so it went from, I'm having this reaction to the poor treatment that you're giving me, to you overacting and you're embarrassing me, and look what you're doing, and look at the scene that you're causing. So when that happens, you get to calmly say, first of all, I can react however I want. Your reaction, my reaction to something doesn't erase like what you did or any of your actions. Again, if you want to talk about my reaction, we can, but it's different than, they're two separate issues. Like what you did is one issue, and I'm not okay with it. And that's it. You don't need to go into explaining to them. I mean, that'll give you a headache and like really activate your cortisol levels. So don't even worry about getting into just being like, what you did, not acceptable to me, period, end of story. And this is actually like a skill. You know, when you get good at this skill of just kind of saying what your boundaries are and then walking away, literally like gray walling, stonewalling, like all of those things, gray walk is what I meant, or stonewalling, it'll just be so easy. And then the next evolution of that is that you just stop attracting people like that. And then after that, you start attracting really healthy people into your experience. And I'm talking about work, family, friends, romantic relationships. You just get this up leveling of energy. And yes, people will drop off, but you will be so glad that they did. I promise you, you'll be so glad that they did. It's totally worth it. Got it. Okay, here's one of my favorite ones that someone is actually a client. Well, you're not perfect either. Okay, like we're not talking about being perfect. No one's talking about being perfect. I am stating my boundaries, and I'm letting you know that a behavior that you had, or that a behavior that whatever happened, is unacceptable to me. I don't deal with that. You're not allowed to talk to me like that, period. Then it's the end of the, and I know that your blood could get boiling and you want to get into this thing and you want to lecture them, because literally you probably are thinking from a rational space and you're like, how is this person not understanding what I'm saying? And they kind of like that too. They kind of like when you get in that kind of like triggered state and you want to talk and over explain yourself. So just don't go there. I want you, there's 45 days left of 2025, and I want them to be the most peaceful for you. I want them to be the most peaceful. I want them to be the most prosperous. I want them to be like the most happy, whatever you want, the healthiest. That's what I want for you for the rest of the year, or whenever you're seeing this. Maybe I'll post it again. Whenever you're seeing this, I want this to be the best week and best month for you. And we're not letting anyone kill that vibe. No, none of that. This is about triangulation. So, and one of the comments was, well, everyone else thinks I'm fine. I think that you must be the problem. There must be something going on with you, because everyone else, and they could just be making it up, or they could have like the flying monkeys who are just going to always be on their side no matter what. But either way, that doesn't take away from your experience being acknowledged and respected, and your boundaries being respected. So when this happens, you could be like, they're not in this conversation. A lot of times, and another version of this is when they say, if you say it, like, okay, well, a lot of people have this experience. Well, who is it? So don't go there. Just state what you're saying. And then if they're saying, well, everyone else thinks I'm fine, but you don't. Okay, you don't think this behavior is fine, and you're not the problem. And like maybe you and again, you could say, if there's something about my behavior or whatever that we need to talk about, cool, we can. But right now, I am just stating my boundaries, and I'm not okay with this behavior. I'm just not. And, warning, this might involve that person not being in your life. And I have to tell you, that is always for the better. I know I've walked so many clients through this process of when they just want to learn how to a lot of times they come to me just wanting to learn how to deal with the narcissist or toxic person, but then their boundaries get really good and their self-respect goes up, and then they end up not being with the person anymore. So these people just fall off. Like, again, everything is energy. So like attracts like. So if you're at a vibration with a toxic person where you're attracting them because you're tolerating it, right? Life gives you what you tolerate. So whatever you're available for and whatever you tolerate, you'll be an energetic match for. And so when you start to increase your standards and decrease what you tolerate in terms of poor treatment, those people fall off. But that's okay. I promise you that's okay. It's better to be alone than be in a relationship where you feel so lonely. Okay. And the second thing is like, once those toxic people drop off, you are making space, you're expanding so much space for so many more healthy things to come in. So please know that, and please have the faith that is happening for you, that you don't have to tolerate. I can't tell you how many people I meet that's like, well, I mean, what if I don't do any better? What if this is it? And that's just, and I have to tell you, we have to get out of scarcity mode. A lot of behavior that we tolerate, that we don't want to tolerate, or toxic relationships that we get into, is because part of us, on some level, you have a scarcity mentality. It could be conscious or subconscious, but if it's subconscious, it'll show up in your life as like, God, I'm really tolerating this thing that I don't want to be tolerating. And that could be in any area of your life, your health, wealth, relationships, career. If you have an area of your life where you're like, fuck, I want things to be so much better. And I'm not talking about like getting to a goal and then getting to like in a healthy way. I'm just saying like really tolerating something that is just not good for you, and that you know that you could probably get rid of, but like it's like, oh, if I do that, then what? Then like, how am I gonna, I don't know, make money, or how am I gonna, I'll never find love again. That type of thing is what I'm talking about. It's like, especially with relationships, I see this so much. It's kind of like, I don't know if this is the best I can do. They do have a lot of good qualities, but I am miserable and it's affecting my health. Well, yeah, I mean, you wouldn't have dated them in the first place if they didn't have some good qualities, I hope. They didn't hold you at gunpoint to be with them. And you get to have, because relationships are there to teach us things. So you learned in that relationship a lot about yourself, including what you want, need, and deserve, what you liked about the person. So take what you like and leave the rest. So it's kind of like, I want someone that has these qualities from that relationship, and I want them to be real, because a lot of times with narcissists and toxic people, they are completely performing for you. Like I say, they're like a drug, and they'll be, okay, what is this person's insecurities? What do they want? And then they'll become that. So they're not even really that. So you can say, okay, I liked those certain qualities, and I could find that like in a person for real. And then I want these things. And most people just want to feel safe in a relationship. I mean, you have to feel safe in a relationship, unless you're addicted to chaos and feeling unsafe. That's a whole other thing. But if you have been attracted to my content at all, it's because you're at a place in your life where you do want to feel safe and you want to thrive in every area of your life. That's what I teach, is about how to deactivating toxic people. Yes. So anyway, that is what it's all about, is rewiring your nervous system and shifting your psychology and perspective to thrive in every area of your life. And you really can. A lot of people ask me like, how long does that take? It doesn't take that long. It actually takes as long as you believe it'll take. So if you have some limiting beliefs around like, oh God, this is never going to happen, then it'll take longer. But I'm telling you right now that it doesn't need to take that long. It could be literally a little quantum leap. It could happen very quickly. When you decide means to cut off all other possibilities. So when you decide, okay, I am this now. I'm someone that's always chosen. I'm always loved. I attract safe people. I always make this amount of money and have this amount of money in my bank account. I always do this and that. Whatever it is that you want, need, and deserve, then you could have it. But it really is about that decision, and really having a rooted and grounded belief that that's who you are. That is your new identity. In psychology, we call it self-concept. It's your self-concept and your self-perspective. So when you can really be rooted in that and believe it like you believe in gravity. It's just there. It's just like, if I drop this, it's gonna drop, right? So that is like having that really firm belief, and then all the other stuff around it. So if you need to journal to do that, if you need to have affirmations to do that, I really recommend visualizing and feeling into that visualization. But if journaling helps rewire, everyone works a little bit differently, but all you need to do is make that decision and stay committed to that. And sometimes the most difficult thing for people to do is be committed to themselves. You will be so committed to everyone, or you'd feel bad if you flaked on someone, you're very committed to certain things, work projects or anything, and you put yourself last. I said this in a TikTok the other day. Some people, and if this is you, no worries, you could change it any time, but some people are in an abusive relationships with themselves. You call yourself all kinds of names, you gaslight yourself all the time that you can't have what you want, you can't do what you want, all of these things, okay? And you don't even show up for yourself. So we get to be committed to ourselves first. And when you're committed to yourself first, everything kind of falls into place. Everything in your health, wealth, relationships, career gets better because everything is interconnected. Even when we don't think it is, everything's interconnected. And also like this whole thing about we're gonna lock in for the end of the year lock in. So you're gonna really lock in on your thing, meet your goals. Well, that involves you being committed to yourself and putting yourself first. And I'm telling you, the most successful people are the people that are the most committed to themselves. They're basically obsessed with themselves. So can you get a little obsessed with yourself? Like I always say, can you be the love of your life? When you are the love of your life, then other people see that and they're like, oh, okay, I see why she's really like into herself, and in a good way is what I mean. I'm not talking about arrogance or anything toxic. It's like a drug when someone's like truly confident and like respects themselves and really loves themselves. You can just feel it. It has nothing to do with how they're dressed and anything or their accomplishments or anything like that, but they are usually accomplished people because they love themselves so much and they're so committed to themselves, and they have things that people want in terms of health, wealth, relationships, career, even just like their aura, like their like how they are and how they are in the world, like their being. So if you can become the love of your own life and be committed to yourself, whatever that is, what on a daily basis, what are your commitments to yourself, your non-negotiables? Because you will always fall to your non-negotiables. Like if you're having like your lowest day, you'll fall to your non-negotiables. So what is that for you? Is it that you work out every day, brush your teeth every day? What is it that you are committed to yourself to always doing, and what are your standards? It's really something to think about, especially in terms of dealing with and dismantling and deactivating like toxic people, narcissists, borderline personality types. What are you willing to tolerate that maybe you shouldn't? It's really something to think about. Instead of being in this state of like, oh my God, that bitch or whatever did this or that. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, and they're going to keep doing stuff like that because that's what they do, right? So, before we get to that level of getting so triggered and everything, you get the most success and the most healing and the most up-leveling when you take full responsibility, full accountability for everything. That is what makes you the healthiest and wealthiest and happiest. Full accountability, right? So it's like, okay, if this toxic person is triggering me or this situation happened, or what am I available for? What am I tolerating that maybe I shouldn't be? Just think about it. Just ask yourself that. It might be a little hard to do at first, but if you can, it will lead to a lot of instant neural pathway reintegration. You will create new neural pathways from that. It'll be like, oh, and I see it in my clients sometimes. They're like, oh, it's just like all of a sudden it's like, dude, you're right. Like, I had no idea. That is just what it is. And that's okay. I love those moments where that just gets integrated. And then I'll say to my clients when that happens, I'm like, look, it just got integrated. Nice. And it's like, yeah. And it's like this wake up call. And it's like, okay, well, I'm not doing that anymore. Great. And then in that moment, you had an identity shift where it's like, like that, oh, fuck moment. Like, oh, fuck, I didn't realize what I was available for, what I was available to tolerate. Shit. I'm not going to do that anymore. And you could even say, okay, I used to be that way. I used to be that, especially if this is another thing, another way to dismantle shame, because shame is something that a lot of us have when we're like up-leveling, healing, whatever you want to call it, any type of self-improvement, which we always want to do. A lot of people don't like the word healing. Fine, fuck, don't use the word healing, but we want to keep evolving, right? So in the process of evolving, sometimes people have shame around like, oh God, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I tolerated. The past doesn't exist anymore and you can let it go. And if you could just say because you're always telling a story to yourself, so make it a good one. So if you can say to yourself, yeah, I used to be like that. I used to. And you know what? I just have the most love and compassion for myself now that I used to be like that and I'm not like that anymore. I could just look at that version of myself. It could be when I was a teenager, when I was 20 years old, it could be last month, and I could give that version of myself a hug and say, I love you, you're safe now, and we're never repeating that again. You know, I've said this before, you're not a Civil War reenactor. You don't have to repeat the fucking past all the time. And if you do, it should just be for fun. But like, you're a Civil War reenactor. But we don't want to keep the past alive. We don't want to keep old patterns alive. We want to keep moving up and forward, whatever that looks like. That's what life is. That's what you came here to do, my love. You've like, if you don't know it, just like, you know, spoiler alert. So even if you don't want to call it healing or whatever, we're always on a upward trajectory in every area of our life, okay? And so we stay in that good momentum by, hello bear, we stay in that good momentum by, one, like I said, taking responsibility for everything in our life and just knowing what your standards are and being confident enough to be like, and confident and love yourself enough and committed to yourself enough to be like, yeah, this is what I tolerate and what I don't. You would do that for a child, or you'd probably do that for someone that you really care about. Like if they were getting bullied or something, you'd be like, whoa, that is not okay, right? So you get to do that for yourself and show up for yourself like that. And again, the past doesn't exist. We're thankful for the past, we can learn from it, and then, but we're not gonna stay in like a guilt and shame spiral, because guilt and shame can be a drug. I swear I was addicted to it for a while. I'll be the first one to tell you. That was one of my biggest things from keeping me evolving in a faster way. And again, going back to the question of like, how long is this going to take? As long as you want, but we have to not be clinging to the past and not be focused on guilt or shame, which is a form of clinging to the past because it doesn't exist anymore. We always want to give ourselves like compassion, you know, for like old mistakes, even new mistakes. If something just happened, like we want to be the most compassionate we can with ourselves. Again, taking accountability for things that we need to take accountability for, but also being compassionate, because if you're constantly beating yourself up, again, that's just you feeding yourself that guilt and shame drug, and that is a real addiction. And I don't want you in that addiction, especially this time of year. And as we go into the new year, we're going into it with like, we're going to be thriving, okay? And by the way, I talk about all of this in my course that you can download anytime. Any of my course students, I talk to you guys all the time. You can DM me, like, you know, that like one of my course students was just asking me about like, oh, what do you think about this? And I just sent her a voice message, like, you know, we're DMing back and forth. Like, I love talking to you guys. And I'm like really invest. I love doing this. I love watching people level up and heal. So, and if you do have my course, like, and like, let me know, like send me a screenshot, like, hey, I just signed up for your course, and let's chat. Like, I love talking to you guys. You know, my one-on-one clients, I talk to every day, but you know, if my course students like DM me, I want to know like where you are in the course and how you're doing and what's going on with you and what part of the world you're in. So I love it. Let me just look at these other questions. And if you guys have any questions in the chat about how to deal with toxic or narcissistic people, just any you know, thing that you might be going through, you know, cheating is another big one. I have that one on here. The next one is like the whole like, oh God, I guess I can't say anything around you. Again, that is a form of deflecting and not taking accountability. So, and it goes under the you're too sensitive thing. You're not too sensitive. Okay, even if you're the most sensitive person in the world, you still, your experience still gets to be acknowledged. So you can still say in a calm way, shoulders down, and yeah, so what you did, I'm not tolerating that. What you did, I didn't like. That's it. So, and then the silent treatment, some people, especially when you're in the thick of like the toxic abuse cycle, some people get really triggered when the narcissist or toxic person like does the silent treatment. I say, cool, don't go chase them. Don't, leave it alone. They'll come back. You know, they'll circle back. And but like when they do circle back, maybe you've done enough healing to not care, but leave it alone. Just leave it alone. I know it's tempting, but instead of letting them live in your mind rent free or giving them energy, because I really do think that they could feel it when they're giving you the silent treatment and they know you're being tortured by it, because again, they love torturing you. They love seeing you in pain. Just redirect and focus on yourself. The annoying thing is like when you do redirect and truly like you're letting it go, that's when they come back, but you'll be over it by then. But journal, download my course, connect with your support system, watch my YouTube channel, but like do things that pour into you and make yourself better and elevate you and your energy and vibration. Things, and like surround yourself with people that actually care about your healing and evolution, which my content does. That's why I'm saying that. Oh, and then the cheating thing. Okay, so narcissists and toxic people love to gaslight around it. Like, first of all, they just will deny it. But narcissists always need supply. They always need to feel like they are, how to deal with goody. I don't know what that means, but they always need supply. So a lot of them, and if you break up with them, they don't want to feel it because they're so afraid of rejection. So if you break up with one, they're going to run to the first, whatever. Just feel sorry for that person. I know, like, one of the things is like, well, if I break up with them, they're gonna run. They were already cheating on you. I'm sure, like, I hate to break it to you, but narcissists, borderlines, toxic people, they always have people in the background because they are so insecure and they need so much what's called supply. So they don't even see humans as real humans. It's just like, you are supply for me to get my ego needs met. So I'm just telling you to not even worry or get offended or feel like if they just immediately move on, they have to move on because, or they don't have to, but their ego won't let, they're so insecure. It's called narcissistic annihilation because they literally feel like they're gonna die when they get rejected. So they have all this shit going with people that are so insecure. Think about how insecure you have to be someone's backup bitch, to be some narcissist like back. No, you have way too much respect for that. That is not you. You're not doing that. Okay. But so they always have supply in the background. They're always texting someone. But if they get caught, you know, these are people that like delete things a lot. But if they do get caught, they're like, oh, well, that didn't mean anything. But even the situation was reversed. And if you were to be texting someone like that, it'd be the end of the fucking world because they're so afraid of rejection. But they're always doing these little micro cheating things, which I think is a form of cheating. So they're keeping things warm. That's what I call it. Like they're you know, entertaining this person, keeping that thing warm. They're entertaining that person, keeping that thing warm. And then a lot of them, when they break up, they also immediately just start like dating or like calling their friends, oh, I'm single now. Oh my God, I'm so happy I'm single. Yeah, if you have anyone who, but let them do that. You know, so they're just going to get even more sick and toxic. And then, you know, soon these type of people are always alone. Or, you know, if they have some type of like wealth or power, then they get used for their wealth and power, but they're never experiencing like true intimacy or love. So, and you want better than that. You would not be attracted to my content if you didn't want a real, healthy, loving, safe, supportive relationship, right? That is what you want, need, and deserve. And like you want your nervous system to be in a good place. You want to be around people that soothe your nervous system and make you feel good and make you feel happy and healthy. And again, dealing with the cold treatment, the cold shoulder, the silent treatment, just say hallelujah. I don't even know how to say that right now, but like just say, cool, thank you for that. I'm going to take this as a sign from God, universe, to focus on myself. And it's also, it could be a sign that like, hey, I'm not attracting this toxicity anymore. Just let it go. You know, and the most tempting thing is that when they do resurface, because they always do, is to not get drawn back into that. And the most gratifying thing is when they resurface and you're so over it, you're like, yeah, that version of me that dated you, like hung out with you, like entertained like your energy, that version of me doesn't exist anymore. Deuces. You know, that is always a really good feeling. I love when my clients, you know, come back and tell me, they're like, oh yeah, so-and-so that they were maybe going back and forth with like for so long, they're finally like, I am actually free. And you could feel it in someone's energy. I could see it in my clients when my friends like actually really get over a toxic relationship. They're just different. They're just lighter, they look better, just everything is just different. So, and you'll definitely know. So if you're just joining, we are talking about ways to deactivate toxic people, narcissists, borderline, sociopaths, especially, you know, this time of the year, because, you know, maybe you're in a situation with like family or, you know, it's typically with family, sometimes coworkers, where you just have to because of the holiday, or you're obligated to. We don't ever have to do anything. So I just wanted to give you guys some things to just be to regulate yourselves and to stay as calm as possible. And like calm and at peace, right? Peace is a very high vibrational state. And I want like, yeah, being happy is good, and experiencing like true joy is like a, you know, such a blissful feeling. But I want you guys like, and I really put this intention out, like anyone that listens to my content or finds my content, that you have a baseline state of peace, because that's where you can be in a creative flow. That's where you can attract a lot of money and a lot of health and a lot of like all of those things can come into your life when you are in a baseline state of peace, because you're very regulated. Your nervous system is very regulated. So that's what I want for you. So just to kind of like make a synopsis, like all of the tactics that I went over, and I'll post this later in like shorter TikToks, but the main thing, no matter what, is to keep it short. Don't justify, argue, defend, or explain, which is Jade. Justify, argue, defend, explain, or even engage, right? So we don't want to do that. And just to stay calm and neutral. Calm, neutral statements, because they're trying to trigger you. You have to understand that like the drug that they feed off of and that they actually like is when you get triggered, and it actually calms them down, because again, they have so much guilt and shame, and they refuse to go to their, or really, you know, even if they go to therapy, they're not really doing anything. So they have so much guilt and shame that they're just carrying around, and they want to offload it onto you and make you feel like shit, and it actually like soothes them and calms them down and makes them happy. That is not your job, to regulate someone else's nervous system. It's actually impossible, and it will kill you if you try. That's why it is so hard to be around people like this, and it's so triggering. Short, neutral responses. Hold your boundaries without like defending yourself. Just hold your boundaries. Just like you're saying, this is a glass of water. Just like you're saying, pass the salt. No, not available for that. No, I don't tolerate that. No, the man or woman in my life would never treat me that way. No, sorry. Plain and simple. And because they know what they're doing. Okay? Yeah, and just what else? Like refusing like any temptation to get drawn in by, you know, an argument where things get really activated, staying super neutral. And then when they try to accuse you of something, like a character, like you're too sensitive, that's just the way I am, anything like that, just go back to the specific behavior. Say, yeah, I don't tolerate that. I was just talking to a client today, and the advice was like, the man in my life would not do that. The woman in my life would not do that. Just plain and simple. Okay, that's, if you want to continue to act like that, that's fine. I'm not trying to control you. All I'm saying is like the woman or man that's in my life, I wouldn't do that. It's not behavior I'm willing to tolerate on a regular basis. And it would be one thing if they, you know, if it was like a genuine apology and it doesn't happen again. But an apology that without any change in behavior is just like, it's really a fuck you stupid person. Like, I mean, it's really like one of the rudest things you could do. Oh yeah, sorry, and then you just keep doing what you're doing. That's a big fuck you, and you don't deserve that. So yeah, I'll go live tomorrow and talk more about this. So if you have a question, you can DM me that question. And again, like if this is something, especially with like the new year coming up, but I mean, I feel like every day is like, I mean, really every breath you take, every time your heart beats, there's like, that's a new beginning in my mind. Like that's what I believe. And so if you're really ready to just dismantle, like clear out like negative toxic patterns that you have, download my course. And again, if you download my course, send me a screenshot of it and like let me know who you are, like say what's up, like let me know your specific situation. Stay in contact with everyone and I'm like, hey, how are you? How's the traveling going? You still have your boundaries with your mom or your brother, like whatever it is. So I love that. I love knowing all of my course students. Like I said, like I do talk to my clients every day, but like if I have a course student that like sends me a DM, I'm texting you back right away, you know, as soon as I get it. And, you know, I just love connecting with you guys. I love seeing your come up, your level up, your evolution. That is what I'm here for. That's what gives me life. That is what I came to this planet to do. So I really do like that. So again, if you have questions, DM me. Download my course if you're ready to just get rid of toxic patterns and like literally thrive in every area of your life. Because when you clear out all this toxicity, you have so much life. You have so much, and then all of a sudden you're like doing your creative thing that you said you were going to do, and then you're leveling up at work and your health is getting better and like everything just gets better. You know, the relationships that you have in your life are directly correlated with your health, your longevity, your mental health, obviously, your emotional health, obviously, and every area of your life, right? And this is why a lot of times, you know, people say that like having a partner like helps, especially for men. This is actually more true for men. There's been studies about it. I'm not just, so especially with men, if they have like a woman that helps them, is a good woman that just helps support them in every way, or is just like provides like some type of like stability, like they can thrive. They, you know, make more money, their health is better. Everyone gets to have that. So the people that you keep in, and I'm talking about like the people that you keep in your life, the media that you consume, all of that should be positively contributing to your life. Like every time, I'm a little bit of an overthinker, and that's why I like doing these lives, because I'm getting out of my comfort zone. But every time I make a piece of content, I'm like, how is this positively contributing to someone's life? Even if it's just a little thing to like make you laugh, you know, but I want you to get something out of it where you walk away and you're like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do that. It's like shifting your mindset in a positive direction, because it's so easy to get your mind like you know, jumbled and thinking things that are not positively contributing to your life. So that's what I'm here for. Please feel free to look at my YouTube, because like all my content, everything that we talked about is there. I also like when I go live like this, sometimes I put the whole live on there, but sometimes I'll just put like little shorter clips of this stuff for you guys to have if you joining another time. And I'll try to go live tomorrow again to answer your questions. DM me your questions, download my course, and say what's up to me. Let me know about you. If you've already downloaded my course, say what's up to me. Let me know who you are, and like let's be in touch, okay? Thank you so much, you guys. I love your questions. You guys are so smart and so thoughtful, and so like people that are drawn to my content, they're so committed to like their evolution, even when it's been hard for them. Even if you're someone that hasn't put yourself first, it's like part of you knows like you're ready, and you are at that stage where it's kind of like, yes, I'm fucking ready to level up. And I love meeting you guys when you're at that stage. So I'm so happy for you. Love you guys. And I will talk to you again here soon.